Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I am Tamika Thompson and I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company. And for this video, I'm going to be giving you some super simple job interview do's and don'ts so that you can avoid common job interview mistakes. Now, out of the hundreds or dozens or thousands of other applicants who applied to this job, you were lucky enough to get an interview, and I want to make sure that you are able to conquer this interview so that you can get a job offer. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Number one on this list should seem like a no-brainer, but unfortunately, people still make this mistake, and that is do not be late to the interview under any circumstances, no matter what. Now, I understand that sometimes things do happen out of the blue, and in those cases, it is okay to be late, but if you are going to be late, let the hiring manager know or get in contact with someone in advance to let them know that you're going to be late. Let them know by how much or how long. So if you're going to be 15 minutes late or 30 minutes late, or if you need to reschedule. And also provide a reason. In a study, hiring managers did say that someone being late to an interview is not a deal breaker, but it does depend on the reason. And this applies to virtual interviews and in-person interviews as well. So when it comes to virtual interviews, to avoid being late, you'll want to test your Wi-Fi, test all of your devices, all of your equipment to make sure that you are able to log in exactly when you're supposed to. If you are commuting to an office for an in-person interview, look up the directions a couple of days in advance, maybe even drive to the location prior to the interview so that you know the route that you're going to be taking in case there are any construction going on or any detours. You can get familiar with some of the roads that you'll be taking and things like that. When you're commuting, it's always a best practice, if you can, to leave at least half an hour or 45 minutes before you're technically supposed to leave so that you can avoid being late. This way, you actually get there a little bit early. And I don't know about you, but I would rather be early than to be late. And to help you not be late for virtual interviews, once the interview date is set and confirmed, add it to your calendar, set an alarm, jot it down on a Post-it note, whatever you have to do to remind yourself that an interview is going to happen on this date at this time and you do not want to miss it. Next on this list is piggybacking a little bit off of point number one, and that is do be early. So just how I mentioned when it comes to commuting to the office, leave 30 to 45 minutes in advance. What I used to do when I had jobs that I interviewed for on site is if my interview was on a Wednesday, that Sunday or that Saturday, I would actually drive to where I would be interviewing so that I would know where I was going, how long it would take me to get there. And from that commute, I would say, okay, I'm going to leave 20 minutes before whatever that commute time is. So if that total commute time was maybe a 45-minute drive, I would leave like an hour and 15 minutes beforehand. When it comes to virtual interviews, if your interview starts at, let's say, 11, log in 10 minutes before the interview just to give yourself some padding time for any technical difficulties that may arise. And you can also test your equipment right before the interview starts. Now, this is, I have a fun story. I was interviewing for a job, and it's actually my current job. So I shared the story of how I got my dream job. 10 minutes before the interview started, I logged into Zoom. It was a Zoom call, and I clicked the link, and my Zoom software had to do some updates on my computer, and that took about 5 to 7 minutes that Zoom had to download the updates, restart the application. I had to re-sign in and all of that good stuff. If I had logged in right when the interview started at 11, I would have been 5 to 7 minutes late for that interview. So with virtual interviews, that is something that you want to be mindful of. Make sure the link works. Make sure that you have the appropriate software downloaded or that you're able to access it. If you're not able to, then you'll want to reach out to the recruiter or whomever you're in contact with to make sure that you have the right link and that it is accessible. Next on the do list is do come prepared with the proper materials and your portfolio for reference if needed. So if you are commuting on site or you'll be commuting to an interview that is at a company location, you'll want to make sure that you have copies of your resume already printed and make sure you have multiple copies just in case you interview with one person and maybe they send you to maybe 2 or 3 other people. As a best practice, when you're printing copies of your resume for in-person interviews, you want to have duplicates. I recommend having at least 5 copies of your resume to hand out to different people, and so that certain people can hand them off to people, and so on and so forth. With virtual interviews, you want to have your resume saved to your desktop so that it's easily accessible if you need to share your screen to talk through it, or if you need to pull it up to reference it throughout the interview when it comes to talking points. Having your resume on your desktop means that you can get to it easy, right? So you just click, it's on the home screen, you double click, and the resume is there, versus having to sift through different files and folders, and you're trying to figure out where you saved it in a window on your computer. Or again, if you're on site, you'll want to have those materials printed and on hand so that you can share them. And this also happened to me as well. So I was interviewing for a content manager role a while back, and they wanted to see samples of my work. And so I was able to share my screen. I had all of my content samples that I wanted to share, like the ebooks that I had worked on, different, social media templates, like all content related stuff in a file on my computer. And it was really easy and simple for me to just go to my desktop, click the file, and select the different pieces of content that I wanted to share and talk through them. The last thing you want to do when you're in a virtual interview or an in-person interview is scrambling and appearing disorganized, or that you don't have your stuff together. That is a turnoff. So do prepare your materials ahead of time. Anything that you're going to need to present, share, or show, you'll want to prepare that in advance. Next on the do list is do look up common interview questions that you can expect. So contrary to popular belief, interviews, like recruiters don't just pick questions out of the sky. I mean, sometimes they do, but for the most part, you can do a little bit of digging to find out what types of questions you can expect to be asked in the interview so that you can prepare your answers. And some different ways that you can find common interview questions is just a simple Google search, number one. I remember when I first started out in marketing and I had no idea what to expect in terms of the questions that I would be asked. And so I was just all over Google finding, different websites to go to figure out what these people were going to ask me. Tools and websites that you can use include Glassdoor. People who have interviewed with the company in the past typically share their experiences, and they do sometimes share the questions that they were asked. So if you go to those websites, you can type in the job title that you're interviewing for, and typically something will pop up. Another tool that you have to your advantage is LinkedIn, and you can message people who currently work at the company who hold the title that you are interviewing for. Now, this is something that I did, and it worked out for me majorly. A couple of years ago, well, not a couple, it was in 2016. I was interviewing for a high position at a really highly ranked company. It was a telecommunications company. It was like a Fortune 5 company. And I didn't know what these people were going to ask me. And so I hopped on LinkedIn, did a filter search of people who worked at the company who had that title. And I messaged them directly and was like, hey, so-and-so, I see that you currently have this title at this company. I'll be interviewing for this position next Wednesday. Is there any advice or any tips that you can give me? I believe I messaged maybe 12 people, and out of the 12, 4 people replied back to me. So that is another thing that you can do. Leverage LinkedIn, go to the company page, find some people who already work there, who already have the title, and ask them some questions, ask them what you can expect, and ask them, is there anything in particular that the hiring manager or the person that you'll be speaking with wants to hear in your answers? That alone can give you a huge leg up. And as you're figuring out the type of questions that you can expect to be asked, draft maybe 2 to 3 or maybe 3 to 5 bullet points, like talking points, that address the question and different things that you want to touch on in your response. And you can do all of this in a Microsoft Word document. I remember when I was interviewing for like multiple jobs at once, I would have a designated Microsoft Word document for each of them, and they would just be filled with all different types of questions and bullet points regarding my responses. Back in the day, I would also have like a notebook when things weren't as digital. Next on the don't list is do not bad or trash talk your last job. If this is not the biggest red flag, mostly every article that I've seen on this topic states that hiring managers do not like when employees do this. I don't care for whatever reason you left your last job, you do not need to spill all of the tea and give them all of the dirty details about why you left or what you have experienced. But this interview is just not the time or place for that. So any negative talk, any bad talk, any pessimism as it relates to why you left your last job or why you're looking to leave your current job, why you're no longer with the company, leave all of that out. Keep your answer very tactful, very professional. Keep it brief, keep it vague. Do not just go spilling all of your guts and showing your true colors and telling people how you really feel. Do not do that, because that is honestly the worst first impression that you can make. Last on the don't list and last on this list for this video is do not cut off the interviewer when they are speaking. Don't interrupt them. Don't overtalk them. That is one of the most rude things that you can do. I'm not sure if it's passive aggressive. Either way, do not do it. It's probably one of the most unprofessional things. Recruiters don't like it. Regular people don't like it. It's just not a nice thing to do. And again, it can cause you to leave a very bad impression. So people who talk over other people tend to be aggressive, very dominant. It can also show that you're not a team player or a collaborator. It can also show that you could be selfish. All negative traits that you don't want associated with you. If you're on a virtual interview, I understand that latency may happen. And if it occurs, you can say, oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry for, over talking you. I think my Wi-Fi went out, or, something like that. That's totally fine. Also, do not interrupt them when they're speaking. Don't interject them, right? Let them finish their sentence, even if it's something that they're saying that you don't want to hear. So let's say they're giving what the salary is, and let's say the salary is way lower than what you were expecting. And they're saying, okay, this job pays $50,000. And let's say you cut them off right there and say, I'm not taking nothing less than 80. I don't want anything less than 80. That's way below me. I know my worth. Don't do that. Let them say the statement. Let them get the sentence out. And then after they say what they have to say, you can go ahead and proceed with whatever your response is going to be. But don't cut them off. Don't overtalk them. Both things that you don't want to do. So those are some super simple job interview do's and don'ts, and I don't want you to make any of the mistakes on this list. If there's anything in particular in this video that you found very helpful, or something that you did not know that you now know before after watching this video, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. If you have any additional questions in relation to job interview do's and don'ts that I did not cover in this video, feel free to comment that down below as well. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you need assistance with your resume to help you land interviews in your job search, you can reach out to me. I am accepting new clients. My email address is hello@thompsonresumes.com, and you can also visit my website at www.thompsonresumes.com. For more career and job search and resume content from me, feel free to connect with me on social media. The link to my social media profiles are in the description box down below, and you can also subscribe to my email list by clicking the link in the description box below as well. If you're watching this video but you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can join my growing YouTube community. And I will see y'all next time with another video. Happy job interviewing, y'all. Bye.